So what's up? What's up? We are live. We are here for Tuesday evening, right? Yeah, Tuesday night. Got a couple things to jump into today. We'll get started in a few. We're going to be talking about a couple things. All right. Yeah, we'll be talking about a couple things for today. Focus primarily on some 200-meter stuff, but I want to quickly just talk about USATF announcing that USA is going to be in New York City. I'll very briefly talk about Gout. I know there was an article about him only focusing on, or the story. They also had a video about Gout only focusing in on World U20s as opposed to what do you call it? The Commonwealth Games. Also, you will just dive into a couple different results highlights, but gonna dive in and focus on some of the 200s. Yes, definitely appreciate y'all. Shout out to my man Lighten. I know he's diving in there kind of yeah, right, Dwayne. They're chatting on some things too. I didn't even realize that they were live right now. I think I'd be getting confused because he be titling it with like something from a previous, because I watch Lighten and Dwayne, because Dwayne will be going live on his channel after like some meets with him and Lighten. And I know Lighten will sometimes like replay it. I don't know if it's a replay, but I'm gonna tap in. Like shout out to Lighten. That's my guy. We've met a couple times. I think most recently was last year at Jamaican Trials, but Lighten is a man. If y'all need like Jamaican news, like he's a legit reporter, journalist, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely always happening with Lighten. So appreciate y'all jumping in. Yeah, good to see y'all for the evening. Again, a couple things we'll dive into for today. We're gonna very briefly at the top, we'll talk about just USATF awarding New York City the or awarding, I don't know what the process is like, but USATF giving New York City the outdoor championships. That'll be just a brief kind of highlight there. Talk about Gout. Maybe I'll see how it flows, but either a Gout at the end, just like very quickly about him competing at U20s as opposed to Commonwealth Games. And then I'm gonna just focus on some of the highlights in terms of results and stuff. And the core focus is the 200s, because we got some interesting stuff as it relates to the 200s. Of course, Garrett Holland, he like cooked. We got Noah running this weekend. Alex Ogando, I think that was maybe I don't know if it was overlooked, but Alex Ogando ran the 200. Adeja Haj was either the week prior or something like that. But yeah, got a couple different things. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. Let me flow into here. So let's see. All right. So very quickly, wanted to just talk about USATF awarding, or again, announcing that New York City is going to be hosting the 2026 USATF Outdoor Championships, as well as the Para National Championships. So this is going to be going down on June 23rd all the way to June 26th. So July 23rd to July 26th. So this is going to be the last weekend in July, and it'll be going down at Icon Stadium. This is the first time in 30 plus years, almost 40 years, I think, that USA's, at least what we know of as USA's, will be hosted in New York City. So primarily year after year, it's been it's been in Eugene. We've seen Drake Stadium at the University of Iowa hosted a few times. We've seen it at like Sacramento. I know back in 2007, you saw it in like Indianapolis. I'm going to quickly highlight some of the other places, but I think many people have always seen it as, okay, can New York City actually host a USA Championships, or can New York City host a major meet? Now, obviously, we've seen many major meets in New York City over the past few years and over the past couple decades, right? Like primarily Athlos, we saw last year, was contested in New York City, and the year prior was contested in New York City. Both of them went down, one in October, one in September, just the end of the year. Prior to that, we had the New York City Grand Prix. So from 2022 to 2024, the New York City Grand Prix was hosted in at Icon Stadium. Prior to that, you had the Diamond League, the New York City, leg of the Diamond League. That was hosted from 2010 all the way to 2015, I think was the final time that it was hosted then. Prior to then, we had years of, again, it was Adidas Grand Prix, Reebok Grand Prix, but we saw some major meets at Icon Stadium. So obviously this is a bit I don't know if it's a big deal. I personally am super biased because I live here in New York City. So, I'm gonna pull up to Icon. That's like anytime I get to just easily go to track and field in New York or at Icon, that's like a plus. But I think it'll be interesting to see because people have always been like, yo, we got to get out of Eugene. It's like not convenient. New York City is very, very accessible. It's easy to get into and it's easy to move around within the city. And obviously I'm speaking as someone who lives here. So when I say move around, like you can use the trains, you can use the buses, right? If you're coming from somewhere else and you drive, like that's a whole different conversation in terms of traffic. But at the end of the day, like it's very easy to get around New York City. Getting to Icon Stadium, whole different conversation. But I think this is a good move, at least to kind of see how things work. Now, one thing I do want to note, actually even before then, just to highlight, in the past, Olympic trials have been hosted at Icon Stadium. So if we look back to 1966, if I'm correct, or 1964. Let me see. What am I thinking? Yes, 1964, the women's Olympic trials were held on Randall's Island, and it was called Downing Stadium as opposed to Icon Stadium. So, it was hosted here in 1964 for the women's. So they used to split up men and women. The men had it in Los Angeles, I think, in 1964. And then even further back, my man, Jesse Owens, 1930, on the men's side, 1936, Randall's Island, we saw the Olympic trials hosted there as well. So, Olympic trials, and there's been times where I'm just going to bring this up where we've had, USA's hosted 1991. It was hosted in New York City all the way back there was a couple others, 1966, and there was like 1961. And there was a stretch of time between the 1940s where it was hosted in Randall's Island. But it was called Downing Stadium as opposed to Icon Stadium. So just to highlight that, having a meet like USA's in New York City, it's not a new kind of situation. Yes, obviously the 30s, the 40s, the 60s, it's a different, time period than now, but it can host a meet like this. The other thing, and the last thing I'll kind of note is that this is a non-championship year in every sense of the word as it relates to USA outdoor championships. Why? There's no world championships to qualify for. There's no Olympic Games to qualify for. And the World Ultimate Championships this year is not the pathway to qualify is not through USA's, right? That's all through world rankings. So when it comes to USA Outdoor Championships, qualifying for a major championships is not going to occur from this meet. And if you've been following the sport for long enough, you understand or you have experienced how in quote unquote off years, non-championship years, USA's isn't a very high profile meet, right? You're not going to, well, it's possible you'll see some of the top athletes, but they may do a different event or they may run one round or, something different like that. It's not going to be the very high profile meet that we've come to know, especially over the past 5 years. Like we're spoiled with 5 consecutive championships from 2021 all the way to 2025. But go back to 2018, go back to 2014, and especially when we're talking about like sprints and stuff, it's not as high profile. Now, again, who knows who may show up for these championships? I think it's still going to be relatively high quality, but I think take that into consideration when we're thinking about, comparing this meet to any other USA meet that occurs during a championship year, right? So those are just some things. Again, I'm pretty excited. New York City is expensive. It's expensive. So in the middle of the summer, I don't know. It's going to be, hotels and all that stuff. It's going to be expensive. I hope it works out though. I really hope it works out because I want to see Icon Stadium packed out. I want to see the people there. Again, obviously, who knows who's going to show up? I do hope many of the top stars do show up, but it'll be interesting to just see how things fare. Again, I am biased. Bring USA's to NYC, all the time, like every year. I gladly. Shout out to Eugene, but sometimes it's hard to get over there. So USA's in New York City. So we'll see how that actually does play out. After that, before I dive into some of the results, I did want to quickly talk about our man, our main man, Gout. So Gout. Gout recently, he did an interview with 7 News down in Australia, and he said that he is going to be competing at World U20s as opposed to Commonwealth Games. I know that everyone has been, or even like the articles, but it's all been framed around Gout pulls out of Commonwealth Games. I need to cross check. It's probably like not appropriate on my end, but I didn't cross check if he did commit to the Commonwealth Games in the past, like last year or something. But I think this makes a lot of sense, especially as you get an understanding of what he said, what his coach said, and all of that, in the sense of like making sure that he can protect his long term durability and sustainability in the sport, as opposed to kind of like, even when they say something here, it's like giving up a chance at Glasgow glory for something even bigger. It's like short term glory maybe. But he's going to be going to the World U20 Championships, and World U20s. I think he was deciding between the two. So whether it was Commonwealth Games, World U20s, he would have wanted to potentially go to both. But Glasgow, the World Commonwealth Games, that's going to be happening from July 23rd. I think track and field starts on July 27th. And then that finishes on August 2nd. And that's going to be in Glasgow, Scotland, in the United Kingdom. The World U20 Championships, that's going to be going down in Eugene, Oregon, and that's going to happen from August 5th to August 9th. So if he finishes Commonwealth Games on the 2nd and then flies all the way over to Eugene to kick things off on August 5th, like that is not going to make as much sense, especially for an athlete like him, who currently at this time is still just 18 years old, right? And in the article, he actually talks about explicitly why he's choosing to make this decision. And after this, I'll link in the chat. They have an actual interview with him and his coach. But he says, quote, "It's a big thing to give up," Gout said. "It's a great event, and it's one of those big meets where everyone loves, but looking at development is definitely a better decision going forward on the 20s." So thinking about him going into his 20s, he understands how big the Commonwealth Games is. Especially for athletes from those various nations. Of course, he represents Australia, but whether it's the United Kingdom or wherever else, Nigeria, Trinidad and Tobago, or Barbados, or India, wherever, right? Like all those Commonwealth nations. So granted, of course, Commonwealth has had its fair share of issues. I think even Glasgow was like a last minute, swoop in to save this event. But, he understands that it's a very big and prestigious event with a lot of history. But him as an individual, he can't let that big event take away from his long-term growth and development, right? This is one Commonwealth Games. He'll have the chance to go on to compete in, 2, 3, 4, potentially. That's a lot, but who knows in the future, considering how young he is, right? So I think it makes sense for him to focus in on World U20s, right? And consistently, slowly build up and develop as an athlete. His coach also said here, quote, "We want him to be running in his late 20s. So again, he's only 18 years old right now. She continued, "So you don't want to push the boundaries too soon. And just the fact that they're so compacted." So speaking about that compact schedule, where I noted Commonwealth Games ends on August 2nd and World U20s starts on August 5th. So in tandem with the short schedule and with the idea that they want to make sure he has a long career, they were like, "Nah, we can't do it. We can't do it." You know what I'm saying? And then, like I was noting, so quote, "Gout is a remarkable talent, and although he won't be in Glasgow, we hope to see him don the green and gold at Commonwealth Games in the future." Right. So that's big, right? So it's long-term play. And this, I think, is the biggest thing here. Let me just make sure it's noted. I think it's important that we all remember he is 18 and remains on the rise. He has a long career ahead of him, and we respect his decision to prioritize the World U20 Championships as he builds towards a home Olympic Games at Brisbane 2032. This is the core idea of that long-term strategy. The Olympic Games are going to be in his home country of Australia in 2032, when he is at his prime. You're talking about he's going to be 20, in December. So 24 years old. He turns 25 in December 2032, I think, right? If someone could fact check me on my math, he's 18 right now. So like he's extremely young, like insanely young. He has so much time to continue to make progress. And that's going to be a home Olympic Games. The last time that the Olympic Games occurred in Australia was 2000, right? Like Gout was not even born. That was the last time the Olympics happened then. Prior to that was what? Melbourne 1956, if I'm correct, right? Melbourne 56, yeah. Helsinki 52, yeah. So Melbourne 1956, I think, was the last time the Olympics happened in Australia. So he's going to be one of those massive start. Like, think back to 2000 when we saw Kathy Freeman, right, run into a gold medal in the 400, overcoming, all the pressure of the nation. Gout, along with, whoever else is going to be on the rise. You're talking about, potentially a Jess Hull, or, some other, well, I mean, obviously Kay Myers. Like, you're talking about like some athletes who are going to be the quote unquote face of Australian athletics leading into the Olympic Games in Brisbane. Like, that's what they want to make sure that they're focused on. Obviously, that's, again, in tandem with him as an individual. So whether or not the Olympics were going to be in Brisbane in 2032, they still want to make sure that he has a long career. But that is a big, big factor. Like, that is a big factor. Having the Olympics at home, like, come on. You know what I'm saying? So that, I think, is the biggest thing. So yeah. So shout out to Gout. I think it's a good move. I think, to me, it makes sense. Focus on World U20s. This will be his last opportunity to compete at World U20s, right? By the time the next one rolls around, he'll be, turning 20 at the end of the year, so he won't be able to compete. But have that long-term career. But I think, from my understanding, like, he'll be competing on the circuit this year in some, like, on the Diamond League circuit and at some other races. So it's not like he's just going to pop up at U20s and not race anybody. I personally was like semi-critical of him last year at specifically the Monaco meet, that Monaco U23 meet or race. That one I was like, come on, man. But overall, I think have him have, slow development, right? Make sure that he has a long career. Obviously, as fans, we want to see him go head to head with Letsile, with Noah, with, Brian Lavelle, with all these guys, Kenny B in the 200, and, of course, in the 100, mixing up with guys if he can as well. But of course, as fans, we want to see that because he's so talented right now. But I personally would rather he has a long career. So by the time he's getting up to LA 2028 and then Brisbane 2032, and he's in his prime. Letsile, Brian Lavelle, we see some of those other guys also make significant progress. Like, then it's like, all right, let's go. Sure, he may miss out on getting the peak, of Noah Lyles or Kenny B or whatever it may be. But, like, listen, long-term success, long-term career. I wouldn't want to look back on Gout's career like, yo, he could have like done this and that, or he got injured and like, nah, like, he's still young. He is still extremely young. So shout out to Gout. I'm excited to, see him compete this year and at World U20s. The last time he got silver in the 200 behind Walaza. Look, he wants to step that up to gold. Like, he's trying to get the gold, and he's in good position, right? Because Bando, I'm gonna do this real live real quick, but Bayando Walaza is what? Is he U20 still? I forget exactly his age, but what Bayando Walaza? Oh yeah, so Bayando Walaza is turning, well, he just turned 20 actually yesterday. That's crazy. So he's not going to be at World U20. So, Gout is going to be the guy that will be the headline of World U20. So it'll be exciting to see. But all right. Well, shout out to them, and shout out to Gout, USA's in New York City. We'll dive into some of these results and then just some of the highlights from the week. And then talk about the 200s. The 200s, I'm saving the 200s for last because I'm going to talk about this idea. I'm going to go surface level, but I'll talk about like the idea that, we might need to bring this 200 back to World Indoors. But let me just get to these quick comments. Yeah, of course. Yeah, like I got you. Yeah, last week I spent way too much time talking about other stuff, so I didn't even get to the NCAA results, but we gonna talk about them. Yeah, of course. Of course. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is in regards to New York City. So would be interested to see how they position the field events throughout this specific stadium, since I've only seen this stadium outlined for AFLOS and a bit of New York City Grand Prix. Oh, okay. So what you have, it's a good point. So essentially the field events, you can throw everything in the stadium, right? So you'll throw that in the middle of the stadium. You have the high jump. You actually have high jump on both sides, but you'll have pole vault on one side. You'll the long and the triple jump. Those are on the opposite side of the stadium. So like where the fan. I'm gonna just bring this up on the screen again. Actually, let me see if I could. I'm just gonna bring this up very quickly. But those are on the opposite side of the stadium when it comes to like the long and the triple jump. But the throws, those are gonna be in the stadium as normal. I'm just gonna bring up a picture here so you can. Oh, that didn't work properly. I'm gonna bring up a picture here. There we go. Okay, cool. So let's see. Okay. So you can see this is just from the stands, this Icon Stadium. You can do all the throwing. The high jump can be on this side. Pole vault is on the left side. The back stretch is where the triple jump and the long jump occurs. So they have the pits there. I'm trying to remember because they redid it. Has it always? Yeah. It's always been like that. I was trying to remember if like so back when I like competed in high school and all that. Because yeah, back when I competed in high school, I was trying to remember because they've redone the track a couple times. But yeah, regardless, the field events, the jumps are at the back there, and then the throws they set up the throwing cage over here, and like they throw everything. The shot put they do here, so they do everything in stadium. Everything in stadium. Like this is a IAAF, high quality stadium, so you could definitely. I'm sorry, I said IAAF. World Athletics. Listen, I'm going back in time. Yeah, World Athletic Stadium, so they can do everything in there. So yeah, the setup for Athos was way different. New York City Grand Prix, they don't even do field. Well, they do the field events at the start of the meet. But yeah. Okay, yes. So I agree. No need to dive right into Commonwealth games and like, just like go to World U20s, go one more time. He's 18 years old, and then slowly progress. Like, it is what it is. I completely agree. Um, yeah, exactly. Exactly as I said, right? Like, yeah, this is his last year. By the time the next World U20s comes along, like he'll be too old. So you might as well. And like I noted, Bando Walaza, at least who beat him, who won the double last time, like he's already 20 years old, so he won't be there. Obviously, anyone could pop up and challenge him, but like Gout, like, yo, get the double. And that's probably what he really wants. And like, again, obviously I'm in New York City, but and I don't think I'm gonna. Who knows? I may not go to. I'm probably not gonna go to World U20s. But like the fact that Gout is about to come to the United States and compete in Eugene, or like, come on, it's in Eugene, or y'all know how y'all talk about the track in Eugene. Like, listen, who knows what Gout about to run there? Come on. And I think he's about to open up in what do you call it? Oh, sorry. And you just say yes, going up against Tate Taylor. Yeah, that could be really good. That actually would be really dope. What do you call it? I was gonna say I think he's about to run. He's definitely about to run at the Maury Plant Meet, which he did last year as well. So we'll see that I think in March. Yeah, Teboho, he went to U20s as a teen and won world championships. Gout will go to 2 U20s and 2 world championships. He's doing more than enough. Yeah. Yo, let's see like Teboho. 2021, he went to the world U20s. 2022, he went to the world U20s. And then also he went to the world championships. And then by the time he got to, 2023, he was already a senior by then. Like you say, Gout, he's been to world U20s like before. He's going again now. He went to world championships last year. And like I said, I suspect that he's going to be on the circuit a lot more this year, competing, individually with some guys and like not in these like, these kind of like specific races that are made specifically for him. Like I think he's going to be mixing it up on the circuit, but the focus in terms of championships is going to be World U20. So yeah, like he's good. He's 18 years old, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the tricky part. I mean, I know that Eugene essentially has a hold. And when I say has a hold, I don't know, like, I'm not talking about logistically your like, contract. I don't know any of that. All I know is that Eugene is just like Tracktown USA in the sense that it is the most prestigious. It has the big stadium, right? And it has a theoretical hold on having championships there, like specifically qualifying, USA championships, Olympic trials there. Things may change at some point, but I think once they built the big stadium, I think that made it very hard to say like, all right, we just gonna go somewhere else for a qualifying meet. Like we gonna bring it to Drake or Sacramento or New York or Indy when it's like, all right, there's this giant, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but listen, listen, at least we get something. You know what I'm saying? Like 1991 was the last time, I guess. And I mean, I was a child. I was a baby. I'm be clear, I was a baby. Um, but yeah, hopefully it's more. Yeah, I agree. I would love to see it. I know they announced Eugene for next year as well, but we'll see. Maybe after 2028, like going into the next couple championships, 2029, 2031. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right. Um, okay, so maybe it is. I actually haven't looked into it. I know that like NCAA's they had a deal with Eugene for like multiple years to have the outdoor championships here. I didn't even cross check about if Nike has a deal. It very well could have been. I just didn't. Maybe I saw it in the past and I just was like, yeah, I just assumed. Um, and it's like, they didn't build that big stadium for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like they got things set. So here's what it is. All right, let's dive in. We are going to talk about some of these results from the week. So we'll highlight. I'm just going to mix things in because last weekend I didn't get to talk about the NCAA results, so I gotta make sure I mix things in. So I'm going to talk about some of the pro results, some of the NCAA results, just to highlight what we got going on for 2026 so far indoors, and then at the end, I'm going to circle back and talk explicitly about the 200. So we'll just kind of highlight some things here. But first off, in the 60 meters on the men's side, we did see Saeed Salem. He ran a massive personal best and a world lead of 6.48 seconds. Now, I did like a quick video on the Final Leg Extra channel, but this was big, right? This was a massive, massive world lead. He did it out in Moscow, and I think that sorry, I can't show the race footage on here. They're gonna shut me down. But he did run it out in Moscow. I know Fernando Munyala was in the race, and some other guys were in the race, but this was a big race. Now, what's interesting is you're gonna see his name come up as Sunday Akinitin because he's from Nigeria. And I don't think his transfer of allegiance has fully gone through. I'm going to just cross-check, but I don't think his transfer of allegiance has fully gone through to represent Qatar as he is now, from my understanding. So, yeah, I think it would have shown up. It would have shown up here if he was actually Nigerian or transferred over. So, but I think overall, depending if he has the opportunity to go to World Indoor Championships, this just adds another name into the bucket of some guys who are truly in contention as the men's 60-meter landscape really, really gets competitive. Again, you're looking at Saeed with his 6.48, and once you're touching 6.4s, like you're dangerous, right? If you can stay consistent with that. Now, just to quickly before I take a look at some of the other guys, just looking at what he's done this year. He only has these two performances. So he hasn't actually, run anything else yet. This was his season's opener. This was from the heats, and then he did have the finals. But we'll see how he actually does progress. I think in previous years, he has been able to actually even better. In previous years, he hasn't been the strongest of athletes. Actually, no, this is his first 60s. But in the hundreds, he just hasn't been as like the strongest of athletes, or at least consistent or in the conversation in any capacity. So we'll see if this is a performance that he will actually be able to replicate in any capacity. But like I spoke about last week in the 60 meters, you have a ton of guys, right? Romel Glaive, he's been up and down after the 6.51. We'll see if that consistency is able to kind of pull through. Ali Balushi, he's been kind of really consistent. He's actually been pulling through a couple different 6.5 performances that I was very, very impressed with over the past couple weeks. Like, you're talking about some pretty good consistency from Ali right now. 6.5. This is all this year, right? All this year. He started with 6.6. He's already run 6.52, 6.58, 6.53, 6.55, 6.54, 6.58. This is the type of consistency that you want to see from an athlete, right? This is the type of consistency that you want to see. Because then that means you are able, that gives me a lot more trust that if you go to World Indoor Championships and you line up, I can probably bet, all right, at your peak, you're probably going to put down a 6.5 low at minimum, right? And then maybe when you're in the midst of the competition, you have the potential to go 6.4. If you've already dropped 6.52 and 6.53, right? And these are not like, oh, I'm at home, I'm this. No, he's doing this at World Indoor Tour meetings. So I like this. I like this. Definitely keep a lookout for, what Ali is able to do. And then, like I said, you have some other guys like an Akeem Blake who dominated, at Boston and New York City, and a bunch of other guys as well. So overall, 60-meter landscape, I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing what we can do or what these guys are able to do. Two other guys just to keep an eye out for: Ajani Doyer from Penn State, right? Again, he's competing in the NCAA right now. He just dropped 6.52 seconds, which is a personal best for him. We remember what he did last year when he was a freshman at Penn State, and he was really starting to make some moves. He really kind of shocked the world. He started to run fast. He ran at USA's and set a personal best indoors there. Got to NCAA's and didn't do well, and then he got injured outdoors, if I'm remembering correctly. But he's on a roll. He's already run 20.5 in the 200. Now he drops to 6.52. Don't sleep on Ajani Doyer. Don't sleep on Ajani Doyer. You know what I'm saying? He's someone to look out for. Last one, I did briefly, again, talk about this in another, or just in the quick video I did. But we did see Trayvon Bromell. He opened up with 6.64 seconds in the 60 meters. Now, at the meet he ran at, this was in South Carolina, he actually had heats, semis, and finals. But lo and behold, unfortunately, he false started in his semifinal. He false started. So he unfortunately wasn't able to actually make progress and, go through to the semis and then go through to the final. Again, this is Trayvon Bromell. Now, it's a question on what he would have been capable of doing if he ran, I'm just going to, so he false started in the semifinal. If he ran 6.64 in the heats, and then he hit a false start in the semifinal, but look at the winning times in the final. You're talking about, shout out to Cravon Charleston. He ran 6.64. You have Demet Kemp, 6.69. It's like Trayvon Bromell, I would probably bet on him to beat out some of these guys as opposed to, he would have just like remained consistent. So I don't know, but doesn't tell us too much yet. We'll see him this Friday, the 13th, down at Texas Tech. I think he's going to be running the 60. So we'll see how that plays out. But shout out to Trayvon Bromell. All right. That's just some of the 60s on the men's side. Women's side, this was also pretty good. Again, I did speak briefly about this. Oh, no, not 400s yet. Let me see. Julien Alfred. Yeah, shout out to Julien Alfred. So she dropped a 7 flat. There we go. She dropped a 7 flat down in Arkansas. 7 flat in her season's opener. Now she ran 7.04 and then she ran 7 flat, in the final. 7.04 in the heats and then 7 flat in the final. No competition. Again, check out, I did a quick video on it, but no competition. Like this was just an opener for her. She was supposed to open at Milrose. Not exactly sure what may have occurred, but clearly it's not setbacks. Because if you're opening up at 7 flat, you're good. Now, I think the question is, will Julien Alfred go all the way through to World Indoor Championships? When I spoke to her in December, she was kind of teasing the idea of like her and Coach Flo have been, thinking about the world record, or at least they've looked at like splits at the world record on how they can actually attack it. We know that world record is 6.92 seconds, set all the way back to what was it, in 1995 or 1993? Well, Irina Privalova said it, I think, on 2 different occasions. But regardless, like I said, all the way back in the 90s, Julien Alfred, she's run 6.94 seconds, tied for second all time with Aaliyah Hobbs. Of course, both of them, they did it at altitude in Albuquerque, but like Julien Alfred has been so consistent in the 6.9 range that it's like, and she's a world indoor champion from 2024, like, and she's opening up at 7 flat. It's like Julien Alfred, I think she should just, she should just go. Like, I think she should go to World Indoors, try and not only get a gold, well, try. If she goes to World Indoors, she's a gold medal favorite, right? But then try and potentially attack, World Indoor record. Who knows? But shout out to Julien Alfred. I'm excited to just see her on the track once again. Just a few other women in the 60 to very quickly highlight. We did see, oh no, that's 50 meters. Let me get 60. We did see, so like I said, Julien Alfred holding down that 7 flat. Shout out to, I think Carolina had done that. Yeah, we spoke about that a little bit ago. Patricia Van Der Weeken, she had run over the past week. She had run twice. I think on Tuesday last week she ran, but Strava. But now here she ran 7.08 this past weekend, and this was a pretty good performance for her. Now she's run 7.70. I forget her exact personal best. I think 7.03 or 7.04. But she's run fast. She got the bronze medal at the World Indoor Championships in last year. But she's someone to look out for. She's always in the conversation. Zainab Doso, I mentioned her previously, where she ran 7:09 out in Ostrava, if I'm correct. Yep, in Ostrava. And she slowed down by, beyond the line, like slowed down. But she wasn't running like 7 flat or something. She would have run like 7:06. So, but she's in the conversation as well. And then you have a couple other women. But Julien Alfred, if she goes to World Indoors, it's a dub. Like, it's a dub. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's going to be the gold medalist, or most likely she's going to be the gold medalist, and we'll see how that actually does play out. All right. Before I talk about I'm going to dive into the 400s very quickly, but before I talk about those 400s, I did see a couple comments to just highlight. Let me see here. Let me see. Yes. Oh, man, Jared Brown, appreciate you. Truly, truly appreciate you. Yes. Letsile Toboho. So it's like you kind of don't pronounce, it's not like the heavy G, it's like Letsile Toboho. And yeah, watch like interviews with him, or watch like different things, or like that. You'll be able to like see how he pronounces it. But yes, good call. Appreciate the donation. This is super, super appreciative. All right. Let me see. Yeah, U20s will be stacked. No, that'd be dope. Maybe. Who knows? Yeah. Listen, Nigeria, unfortunately will never get it together. Yet another Nigerian loss to a different country because of a comically and woefully inept AFN governing body. Like, I mean, this has been going on since the 90s, if not the 80s. Off the top of my head, the 90s for sure. Like, obviously, Francis Opukwelu, Gloria Loze. Like, listen, man. Yes. So Grant Holloway, he announced that he's not going to be doing. I was going to pull up the thing a little bit later, but yeah, he announced that he's not going to be doing indoors this year due to injury setbacks. He was supposed to compete in Madrid. Unfortunately, won't be. Ronnie Baker, I guess I didn't see confirmation, but I know he was supposed to compete in Madrid. He pulled out of there. He was supposed to be somewhere else as well, but seems like he pulled out. So different setbacks that people are dealing with, but is what it is. Okay. All right. Let's keep talking. Okay. Yes. Irina Privalova, 1993. Yes. Thanks for the call out. Like, it's crazy. All right. No. Well, I can just quickly highlight Grant. I'm going to talk about the 400s in a second, but I could just quickly highlight Grant. Like, Grant literally this morning, let me see. Let me present it. So Grant literally posted, like, reminiscing on the World Indoors after deciding not to run it this year. Nagging injuries suck, but we're gearing up for the outdoor season. Yeah, like he's not doing indoors this year. And this is the first time he's not doing an indoor season since, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Like, when was the last time Grant didn't do an indoor season that had a World Indoor Championships? You know what I'm saying? Like, flamingos live outside. So we're going to see him outside, unfortunately. So, well, not unfortunately. Let me not say that. It's not unfortunately. It's just that I think we all wanted to see him run that 60 meters. Like, we were excited because we know what talent Grant Holloway has. We know how capable of running fast he is without hurdles. So it was like, yo, we get to see Grant in the 60 flat again. But so we'll see him outdoors. And I just hope he gets healthy, because it was kind of tough. Like, no, Grant is one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT of the 110 hurdles, right? Like, and seeing his kind of setbacks all throughout last year, it was tough. And you could tell he was like emotionally, well, I know he only did a few kind of like on camera interviews, but like he was like, it was definitely tough. It's never tough to be dealing with injuries and setbacks. So, we'll see. All right. Let us quickly talk about the 400s, because this is where we got a couple on both the men's and the women's side. So on the men's side, shout out to my man, Samuel Ogazi, representing Alabama and representing Nigeria, still in the NCAA, holding things down. He drops 44.85 seconds out in New Mexico. He's number 2 in the NCAA this year, behind Jonathan Sims, right? Jonathan Sims almost broke the world record, but he's run 44.6. But Ogazi is in form, right? He is getting into some good form. Now, let's be clear, it's not the Nigeria national record, right? We saw Nathaniel Ezekiel last year, 44-7 indoors. So, but Samuel Gazi, he's coming, yeah. He's coming. And he just adds to the list of the NCAA guys. I'm just going to pull this up. The NCAA guys right now who are really cooking when talking about the 400. As I noted, Jonathan Sims, he's already run 44.6. But look at what we have in the landscape of the 400 right now. We got Jonathan Sims. He's already run 44.6, right? We have Samuel Gazi now at 44.8. We have CD, who's at 45.3, but CD is coming. Don't sleep on like CD is the listen. You know what I'm saying? And then we have a ton of other guys as well, right? Like this is really, really going to be heating up as we get towards the end of the month, or I guess over the next few weeks leading up to conference championships at the end of the month. And then of course, once we get to NCAAs, listen, y'all, and it's in Arkansas. Listen. This 400, I don't know. I feel like last year was very similar, but this 400 is about to be crazy, y'all. Like the 400 is going to be good. I'm excited for the NCAA 400. Very, very excited to see how this plays out. Like last year's 400 was good though too. I think it just didn't play out at NCAAs because like even like Samuel Gazi didn't do as well. But listen, this is stacked. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right. You got Samuel Gazi, you got Jonathan Sims, you got Floyd is in there, right? You got CD, you have Davis, you have Jones. Like it's crazy. The 400, yeah, it might be. Listen, the 400 is good. 400 is good. So I'm excited to see how this 400 actually does play out for the men. But shout out to Samuel Gazi for dropping that 44.85. And outdoors, he's already run. Y'all forget that Samuel Gazi made the 400 meter Olympic final in 2024 in Paris. He made that Olympic final. He's run 44.4. Like, listen, y'all, we're going to see something special. We're going to see something special when we get to indoors and outdoors. Now, on the women's side, so I'm going to bring up World Athletics for this. It's going to be a little bit easier to just highlight because there's a couple different results I'm going to highlight here. Women's 400 in 2026 indoors so far. So previously, the world lead stood at 51 seconds flat. This was like as of last week. We saw Madison White, NCAA. She ran 50.82 to lead the NCAA now this year. So shout out to Madison White, like really cooking. But then out in, where was this? This was in, this was in Metz, the same meet that Femke Bol ran the 800. Henriette Jager, she ran 50.62 seconds, almost not too far off her personal best of 50.5? Or yeah, right? 50.5 low, I think, or she might have, 50.5. Emma Zapletalova, who is the world championship bronze medalist in the 400 hurdles from Tokyo last year, she's been improving indoors. She dropped another personal best of 50.78. These two were some strong performances. I'm very impressed with Henriette Jager, considering how close she got to her personal best. And then Emma Zapletalova, she hasn't been running indoors very consistently. I think last year she ran at the Slovakian Indoor Championships, but like she only ran those 2 races. Like she hasn't consistently been running indoors. But this year seems like she's really taking it seriously. And to get to 50.78, that's big. Just wanted to cross-check with Henriette Jager, who her personal best is 50.44. So she already ran 50.62. That's a big start to the 400 season for her, right? So, and she was European bronze medalist from last year. She missed the podium at World Indoors last year. No, she didn't miss the podium. She got the bronze medal, if I'm correct. Sorry. Let me cross check. Yes, bronze medal last year behind Amber Anning and behind Alexis Holmes. So Henriette Jager got the bronze medal. My bad. But yeah, I'm excited. But the big one was Amber Anning. Amber Anning opening up her first race. British Championships are this weekend, but she opened up in Arkansas, at home where she trains with her whole crew. I'll talk about Britton Wilson in 1 second. 50.51 seconds for her opener. Amber Anning is like way ahead of pace. Her personal best in the indoor 400 is 50.43 seconds. This is her personal best. And now she's already run 50.51. So Amber Anning and this is actually from 2024, not even from last year, right? Not even from last year. This is when she was still in the NCAA competing for my gosh, why am I forgetting? For Arkansas, sorry. She competed for Arkansas, right? So she was still there. So she is way ahead of pace, way ahead of pace. If y'all remember, last year at European Indoor Championships, she actually was disqualified in the rounds for, I think, stepping out of the lane, right? Lane infringement. So going now, she's looking. So she's going to British Indoor Championships this past weekend. In her interview, she did an interview after this race, and she said she's unsure about World Indoors. Similar to like Dean Asher Smith, I think their focus is more Commonwealth Games and European indoor outdoor championships. But I think Amber Anning, with this good form, she might be like, listen, I want to defend that title. And I want to go, sub 50 seconds, right? I want to go sub 50 seconds indoors. Like when I remembered that her personal best was only 50.43, I was like, hold up, that can't be right. After we saw Isabella Whitaker, after we saw, Aaliyah Butler, obviously Femke Bol, Britton Wood, like all these women over the past couple of years, even, Leaky Klaver, like all these women running 49 seconds. I'm like, Amber Anning had to have run, sub 50 indoors, but she hasn't yet. And I know that she's more than capable of it. So, I think she's gonna be in the mix for sure. Amber Anning, definitely one to look out for. The only question is if she goes to World Indoors, who else goes? Now, obviously, Henriette Yeager, right? She's going to be focused there. Emma Zaplitlova, she's going to be focused there. Leaky Klaver, she's going to be going, well, I don't know if she's committed to, but I would suspect she's probably going to try and go. She didn't go last year, but we'll see. But she has to, get back into her old form, right? That's, we'll see. But then what if someone like Shauna Miller-Weibo just decides to be like, hey, listen, I want to go into the 400 indoors, right? What if she decides? And that changes the landscape of the event at World Indoors, but it makes it more exciting. So we'll see. But that's Amber Anning. The only other athlete I did want to note is Britton Wilson, who ran 51.46 seconds. Now, I didn't even realize, I was just like looking this up earlier today, but like, obviously, so 2023, she was the NCAA indoor champion in the 400. She ran 49.2 seconds to, break the NCAA record, get close to the world record, indoors as well. I'm sorry, 49.48. Isabella Whitaker had run 49.2. But yeah, Britton Wilson, 2023. Outdoors, though, she unfortunately got injured, like terribly injured, because she was doing the double. She was attempting the 400 hurdle, 400 double all throughout the year, and she was consistently doing it. Let me just see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy, but you could see she was consistently doing the 400 hurdle double at SECs and regionals and then NCAA championships. And yeah, you might remember that at the NCAA championships, that's where she really got injured. Focused on the 400 going into world champs, qualified, but got injured and has to be carried out, unfortunately, tragically, on a wheelchair. Now, going into 2025, she's like been getting back. Where did I? Not bad. Where did I? No, sorry, 51.4. So she's getting back into things, right? Last year, she didn't make the team individually to world championships, but she did qualify on the relay. And she's getting back into the groove of things. I'm excited to see what she's able to do. 51.46. Yeah, it's actually a pretty impressive time when you take into consideration like all the indoor 400s she's run. This is one of her faster 400s. Like, it's one of her faster 400s. If you're just talking about, she's run, 50 seconds, a bunch of, oh no, my bad. Let me get my cross check right. I'm looking at the wrong athlete. Britton Wilson. Yeah, so she's run a bunch of indoor 400s, but 50.46 is the 5th fastest 400 of her indoor career. Like that's a pretty impressive performance, right? Considering she's run 49.48, she's run at NCAA, she's run at SC. It's like, this is pretty good. So we'll see. I'm definitely interested in her progress. I might put out a video either this week or next week just about Britton Wilson and how like, because of her injury, her I don't know, her current personal bests are a little skewed. Like she hasn't broken 53 seconds in the 400 hurdles, which is wild. Like it's weird, but like it's just because of the injuries and stuff. So we'll see. But shout out to Britton Wilson in the 400, and look, keep an eye on Amber Anning and everyone else who's like in the mix. All right, last ones that I do want to talk about before diving into the 200s, because that's going to be the core before I close out today, Just a few other highlight results. On the women's long jump side, shout out to Agata de Sousa from Portugal, formerly of Sao Tome and Principe. World lead, 6.97 meters. Really impressed. Keep a lookout for her. She finally got her transfer of allegiance from Sao Tome and Principe and is now able to fully represent Portugal. I think she actually competed. I could be wrong, but yeah, she competed last year. But regardless, like she was going through transfer of allegiance for a little bit. She's already jumped 7.03 meters in previous years. Like she's someone who you should look out for when talking about the landscape of the long jump. Like again, she competes for Portugal, previously Sao Tome Principe. Don't sleep on her. She has a lot of potential. And she's what, 26 years old? Well, turning 26 this year. So she's still relatively young. Keep a lookout for her. Similarly, in the women's triple jump, you did have Lianis Perez Hernandez, world lead, 14.75 meters. Very strong performance. Looking to see if she can get over 15 meters, right? Indoors. That'll be very, very exciting. She, of course, is a world champion from last year. Like she's trying to, really make some moves. I think before this, she did jump 1460. Yeah, she jumped 1465 prior to this as well. And then shout out to Daviseli Velasco. Apologize for the pronunciation, but she represents Cuba. She's jumped 14.60. She was doing very well last year, along with Lianis Perez Hernandez and with Povea, Lidamis Povea. But she, I think, is currently, she's not living in Cuba, and I think she's trying to work out a transfer of allegiance to some country in some capacity. I mean, we always see athletes leaving Cuba all the time, but she's kind of in a gray zone. So she can't compete internationally right now, from my understanding, but she's someone who's always going to be in the mix in the triple jump. So definitely keep a look out there. And then finally, before we dive into these 200s, the men's long jump. The men's long jump was insane. It was absolutely insane in Metz. Like, this was crazy. Mattia Ferlani and Sarah Boykov from Bulgaria. Apologize, pronunciations. But both of them jumped 8.39 meters. Both of them, 8.39 meters. I don't think, I'll get it another time, but like Mattia Ferlani's series in this was really, really good. And I'm excited because he's becoming more and more consistent as the years go on. Like he's getting very consistent, and he's still extremely young, right? Like he turns 3 days ago, he turned 21 years old. So he's so young. He's already the world indoor champion. He's already now the world champion. Like Mattia Ferlani is someone to really look out for. But this was a great competition. Literally them going back and forth. You saw, Ferlani, he jumped 8.38 meters. Then Saraboykov, he jumped 8.39. And then Ferlani, he responded with 8.39, but because on the countback, he was able to get the ultimate win. This was an amazing performance. Like, man, this is good. This is good. So we're going to see how this actually does play out as we go forward. All right, now let's talk about these 200s, the 200s, because I'm very, very excited about the 200s coming up. And then we're just going to close out on the 200s. But before I do, just to highlight a couple different things, just some of these results. Let's see. Yeah, Grand Scratch. Yes. Yeah, this is a good point. Just in terms of the double for Madison White and Jamesia Ford. We'll talk about Adeja Hodge in a second. Yeah, like the 200 is so stacked. Like considering what Adeja Hodge just did, like I don't know. And then Dejanay Oakley in the 400, obviously she ran 51 seconds like the previous week, so prior to Madison White. But Dejanay Oakley, I think she might run 49 this year. If everything kind of like lines up and continues as she did last year, I think she might run 49 seconds, right? Who knows? Jamesia Ford, I want to see Jamesia, obviously she hasn't been as good yet. She is getting there, but she obviously has that potential, right? Like we know that once Jamesia is on, it's a dub. You know what I'm saying? So listen, this I don't know if a double is possible. It'd be tough. It'd be tough because each individual event is very, very competitive. Very competitive. Yeah. Okay. Yes. We spoke about Irina Privalova. I have a video. I actually already have it recorded it. I just need to edit it. But I might, this is a side note, I might start like a series about like the fastest, something like, I don't know, something like the greatest athlete you never heard of, or something along those lines. Cause like you have athletes like, well, all in the game, I know you said it, like Privalova is the best female combo sprinter in history. Maybe. You have athletes like Privalova. You have athletes like Irina Shayvinska. I think Irina Shayvinska actually might be better. Yes, actually, yeah, I do think. But regardless, like they're all legendary athletes. But yeah, you have Privalova, you have Irina Shayvinska, you have all these different athletes who aren't like very well known or well recognized, right? Not everyone. Most people know about like Merlene Ottey and Gwen Torrance and Gail Devers, but they're not as familiar with Privalova, right? They know, well, I don't even know. People know she won the 400 hurdle gold, I guess, but like they don't know how consistent she was all throughout. Yeah, they see, oh, wait, who's that with the indoor 60-meter world record? But like they don't know her career. They don't know Irina Shayvinska held the world record in the 100, 200, and 400. Like, so I don't know. I might start to highlight some of these different athletes throughout history, but we gonna see. But yeah, shout out to Privalova. Shout out to Privalova. And yeah, we were talking about like 60-meter world record and all that. All right, so let's dive into these 200s because this is where we got some good stuff going. Let me actually just pull these up. The 200s right now are like, in my opinion, they're on fire. They're like absolutely on fire. It's actually kind of crazy because like we have, I don't know, man, on both the men's and the women's side. Men's and the women's side. Let me see. All right, so I'm gonna pull up I think first thing is obviously the man of the hour, but there's a couple different ones. And feel free to comment through, but essentially, yeah. Feel free to comment through as we talk through a couple of these. I just want to make sure I could pull these up, make sure I got them in my purview before I start to just dive in because I'm gonna lose track and then things gonna happen. But 200s. So in the 200s across the board, we have been seeing a ton of different athletes really start to, get things heated up. And I think for the most part, the guy, Garrett Calland. Garrett, 20.12 seconds indoors in the 200. Now, obviously, that's a world-leading performance now, right? Most athletes aren't running the 200. Now, well, I'm gonna just do this as a combined. So you had Garrett, he ran 20.12 seconds. Alex Ogando, who many of us know, on the pro side, running on the circuit with the top guys, he's been making, world championship and Olympic finals. He ran 20.24 seconds out in France. So right now, the top two guys in the world are Garrett and Alex. Both those guys running 20.12 and then 20.24. Let me just pull up for the sake of because like, listen, I just got to pull up the all-time list. But I know it's a little, for me, it's a little weird because obviously the highlight has been, okay, he moves to number 6 all time, in the history of the 200 meters. And we know, let me just pull up the all-time list because we know we have Frankie Fredericks running 19.9. We know we have Elijah Hall, but we have all those guys, Wallace Spearman and et cetera, et cetera. So let me pull up. So you have Frankie Fredericks, you have Elijah Hall, you have Divine Orduduru. Shout out to Divine, he kind of cooked, but shout out, but like not shout out because you know what I mean. But you have Wallace Spearman, you have Christian Coleman from back in 2017, which is crazy, and then you have Matt Bowling, who tied now with Garrett Calland, right? So this is the indoor 200 landscape right now, and what you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these guys did it while they were in the NCAA. This is kind of like. This is going to lead to the case of why I think the 200 potentially should be added to World Indoor Championships once again. But listen, man, Garrett is cooking. And so Garrett is not new to this, right? We've seen what he's capable of when it comes to the 200, both indoors and outdoors. But last year in the 200, he dropped a 19.85 outdoors at the NCAA regionals, right? He dropped 19.96 at NCAA's outdoors, where he got, 3rd place overall. So he knows what it's like to really put himself on the line and compete with some of the best guys, in the world. Well, at least, of course, in the NCAA, but like when you're talking about, indoors, of course, in the 200, it's like the best guys in the world because, most pros don't run it. But then in the NCAA, when you're lining up against actually scratch that, in the world. You're talking about him lining up against Kali Makarawu, right? Against Makacharamba, right? Like against some of these top guys who have gone on to make world championship or an Olympic finals in the 200, up against, let's see, Lyles and Noah's and, all those guys. So listen, Garrett is someone to look out for, right? He is definitely someone to look out for. Now, two things. One, I think he's a very, very strong threat, obviously, to challenge for the NCAA title next year, right? I think he got, what did he get? He got fourth. Let me cross check. I think he got fourth place at NCAA indoors in 2025. I'm just going to pull up and cross check very quickly. Let's see. Oh, wait. Why am I getting this wrong? No. What did he get? Wow. No, he couldn't have. That can't be right. Oh, I see. They just don't do it right. Okay. Yes, he got fourth place overall. Sorry. World Athletics does it kind of funny where they say you got first place in your heat, but it's two heats. Right. So Karim Makarawu, he of course won. Makacharamba was second, and then Cameron Miller was third. And then because he ran 20.49, and then Garrett Callan, he won his heat running 20.56. So he got fourth place overall last year indoors. When you look at all these guys, Makacharamba, Karim Makarawu, and Cameron Miller, they're all no longer in the NCAA, right? So he's like the front runner if you want, and he is way ahead of pace. 20.12, come on, yeah. So that's the one thing. Important that he is probably the guy to look out for when we're heading into NCAAs for 2026 indoors. But the other thing I want to note is I don't want us to get way too ahead of ourselves. I haven't kept up on conversation. I've been a little offline to a degree, but I don't want us to get ahead of ourselves and say, oh, he about to go sub 20, or, oh, he about to break the world record of 19. I don't want us to get too ahead of ourselves, right? There's a reason why 19.92 has stood since 1996, right? There's a reason that Frankie Fredericks, one of the greatest 200-meter sprinters in history, is the only athlete to break 20 seconds in the 200 indoors. Similar to the women's side where Merlene Ottey is the only athlete to break 22 seconds indoors in the women's 200. There's a reason that barrier is very hard to crack, right? So I want us to get excited. I'm very excited to see what Garrett is able to do heading into NCAAs. He's the guy to look out for. But also, I'm not gonna be yo, sub 20 it's different. I'm saying sub 20 is different. So let's slow down. If anyone, again, I haven't been really digging in on Twitter and stuff like that, but we gonna see. And yeah, Garrett is definitely 19.7 this year. Come on, what we talk about? He's run 19.8 last year with legit wind. You know what I'm saying? It's not even 2.0 wind or all that when at altitude. No, 19.8 with plus 1.1. And to me, he backs that up with his 19.96 with 0.3. There's an aspect of, you could probably argue this 19.96 is maybe slightly better of a performance, but if you're running 20, well, yeah, well, no, let me not equate that. I was going to say, if you're running 20.12 indoors, then you're definitely 19.7 outdoors. I'm going to slow down, right? I don't want to make direct equivalencies because, yeah, but I think he is more than capable of getting to 19.7, right? On a good day. It can happen. So we'll see. Oh, I didn't even peep this comment. All right, Satoshi, this is what I'm saying. We got to slow down just a little bit. 19.92 sub, and also let's be clear. This is not 19.99, 19.98. Nah, this is 19.92. So you have to be approaching, if not actually run 19.8 indoors. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna get to some of the other comments, but yeah. So no, but someone is going to sub 20. I don't know. Man, if someone goes sub 20 again, it's not easy. It's not easy. I don't want to put out whatever, but who knows? I'd love to see it. But yeah, so shout out to Garrett, shout out to Alex Ogando, both of them. Now, on top of that, actually before I note that, yeah, Garrett Cullen, he looks good. Not sleeping on Wani McCoy. Yeah, McCoy looked very good, man. 20.50. At first, when I saw this performance, I was like, he's still in NCAA. He's been running forever. But I'm excited to see how he plays out. But Yeah, he's always a sleeper. Like he is dangerous. Hopefully he stays healthy. And then of course you do have my bad, just lost it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Jaden Reed, Jamarian Stubbs, Tyson Williams. Yeah, 200 is deep. It's deep. All right. So yeah, oh good. Yeah, running a fast. That's why I slowed down for a second. Running a fast 200 indoors doesn't really mean much outdoors. Outside of Frankie Fredericks and Spearman, the majority of guys on the all-time list didn't nothing outdoors. All due respect. I mean, it's mixed, right? So when you look at the all-time list, obviously Frankie Fredericks go. Elijah Hall, yeah, obviously he didn't pan out. Divine Oduduru actually did, but we're gonna leave that alone, right? Wallace Spearman, of course. Christian Coleman is so interesting, right? He's run 19.8, 2017 and 2019. He qualified for the World Championships in both the 200 and the 100. He just didn't compete. I know 2019 he didn't compete in the 200, but he hasn't done it. Matt, obviously, shout out to Matt Bowling, but we haven't seen him pan out. Courtney Lindsay, times wise, he actually has panned out, but obviously getting on the podium 2023, 2025, he hasn't been able to do that. Kare Makarabu, and Makacharamba, they're still new, so they're developing. Tarsus Orgot, he ran super fast in that one race, but he didn't get on the podium. Udodi, he ran super fast NCAA's 2023. Trayvon Bamel, he never followed through with the 200. So, just going through all the guys, it's like it's mixed. It is mixed. It is mixed for sure. So I don't know. It is what it is. All right. So last other one, and then I'll do some of the comments at the end. Noah Lyles is going to be running the 200 at the Tyson Invitational this Saturday. So the indoor 200, this is when Noah Lyles is going to be running the indoor 200 this Saturday, Tyson Invitational. Now, he did run the 300 at Boston. He did run he ran a 300 in Florida before then. But now we're getting a chance to actually see him run an indoor 200, which he hasn't done since 2021, if I'm correct, right? He ran it at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix when it was still it was in Staten Island, not still in, but it was temporarily in Staten Island during that time, I think, as they were building up the Boston track. But, we'll see. This is an interesting case. This is an interesting kind of race. I'm saying it's an interesting case because I'm going to talk about, World Indoors in just a very brief moment. But I'm excited. And this goes to what Noah has been saying about his indoors this year, where he's just like, yo, I just want to go for any and everything. Right? He just wants to go fast. He just wants to run any distance. It's that whatever. He ran the 300. He's running the 200 here. He's going to be running the 60 at USA. So listen, it's exciting. I'm excited. I like to see Noah actually putting his foot out there and attacking these different distances. Who knows what time he might run? But again, we'll talk about World Indoors in a second. He's not going to World Indoor Championships, though. It's too close to his wedding. So even though he's going to USA's, World Indoor Champs won't happen. But two other performances to highlight. Adeja Haj. This is actually from 2 weeks ago. I had it down for last week. Went too long, so didn't get to talk about it. She was able to run 22.53 seconds. Adeja Haj runs 22.53 seconds. So that for 2026 is a world lead on the women's side. I'm just going to pull this up. I mean, obviously, most women aren't running the 200, but regardless, 22.53, very strong performance for Adeja Haj. This is her first competition for competing for Georgia. So now she's right into the mix. She's right into the conversation of yo, she's gonna be mixing things up at NCAA's, mixing things up as listen, right? So shout out to Adeja Haj. And then the other one I did want to shout out was the pronunciation is gonna kill me, but Jael Bestu from Spain. If you don't remember or if you don't know her, very fair, understandable. If you remember World Relays last year, where you had Jamaica, United States, Great Britain, Spain, she was running anchor leg for Spain, where they got the silver medal. I think she was running anchor leg, but regardless, she was on that 4x1 that got the silver medal at the World Relays in China. So she ran 22.69 seconds, which also is a very strong performance. Obviously, Spanish national record. Number 3 in the world, because Trisha Kelly, from the NCAA, she was able to put that performance down. But that I think is a strong performance. Overall, my point here is I do think that world athletics potentially, I'm gonna just do a light kind of thought process through this today, but potentially should bring back the World Indoor Championships. Potentially. I think it might be a good, the 200 at the World Indoor Championships. I think it might be a good move because we are seeing some of these athletes dip their toes into the 200. Now, we already see the NCAA athletes do it every single year. They've been doing it, year in, year out. But now you see athletes like an Alex Ogando. You see athletes, like a Noah Lyles. On the women's side, Jala Bestu, like I just noted. Maybe Julien Alfred has no 200. She's obviously focused in the 60, but what if she had a 200 to compete in, right? Like, what if Shauna Miller-Weibo, what if she was able to compete in the 200? There's, tons of opportunities I think would make it really compelling for us to see the 200 meters indoors, right? I think it would be really good at World Indoors. Now, just two things I do want to know. Why was it even canceled? So back in, I'm going to pull this up, all the way back in 2004. Let me just do this, man. Sorry. 200 meters. Yeah, this how I just work on the fly. But the 200 meters was contested at the World Indoor Championships for literally decades, up until 2004. So from 1985, which was, oops, my bad, on the screen here. There we go. So from 1985, when the first World Indoor Championships occurred, we saw the 200 contested all the way until 2004. Shout out to Dominique Demetri from Bahamas. He was the last World Indoor Champion in the 200. And same thing with Natalia from Bulgaria, right? So we saw the indoor 200 contested for many, many years, over almost 20 years, essentially 20 years, almost 20 years, indoors. But then it was cut out. It was no longer contested at the World Indoor Championships. And it was specifically because of the lanes and how it essentially just gave an unfair advantage to athletes on the outside lanes. And let me just see that the note here. So much so that the 200 meter finals at major championships, even at national level, now have become a virtual lottery. Get drawn in any lane other than 5 or 6, and you may as well not bother turning up for the race. An increasingly common option for some sprinters faced with the impossibility of chopping their stride around the curve when they should be at full flow. The alternative has been to race and risk potentially long-term injury, which few athletes are willing to do in an Olympic year. So this was 2004. And as I said, quote, we took the decision to drop the 200 because basically the event had become unfair and too predictable. So, that's why they chose to cut out the 200 all the way back in 2004. So that's why we saw the last one, 2004, right? Shout out to a couple world indoor champions, Sean Crawford, right? Frankie Fredericks, Kevin Little, like, what I'm saying? Like, these are John Regis. He's a pretty famous guy in the sport now, but like, all these athletes, Obadiah Thompson, like there's so many athletes who competed indoors in the 200. Obviously, Marlene Ottey, 2-time indoor champion. Who were we just talking about? Irina Privalova, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Maria Koken, Heike Dressler, a couple different, Juliet Campbell. So a couple different athletes who were able, Pauline Davis, a couple different athletes who were able to win medals in the indoor 200. But what if we brought the 200 back for the World Indoor Championships? Maybe, obviously not this year, but what if we brought it back for 2028? Or maybe let's say 2030. In my mind, I was like, what? For 2030, bring it back, right? I think that'd be a good opportunity because then, I'm just going to take this off screen, then we get the opportunity to see athletes like a Noah Lyles. Again, he's running the 200 this weekend, right? We could see Noah Lyles. We can see Kenny B. We can see Letitia Teboho. We can see Brian Lavelle. We just saw Brian Lavelle, run the 60 meters. What if he had a 200 that he was able to run? Alex Ogando ran the 200 indoors last year, and he ran it again this year, but he doesn't have anywhere to go, right? Well, he's a 200, 400 guy. He was at world champs in the 400, but like the point is, like, they can run the 200 indoors. We would potentially get to see, I don't know, Kenny B, shout out to Dennis Mitchell and his group. They never run indoors, but like, what if, you know what I'm saying? Let's see Teboho. What if he ran indoors, right? I was just talking about Gout at the top. What if down the line he chooses to run indoors? That's just on the men's side. What about the women's side? You can have, like I said, Shauna Miller-Weibo, Gabby Thomas, NCAA champion from back in 2018. And she was the NCAA record holder, right? When she won the title back then. Who else? Obviously Sharika's in the second half of her career, but Sharika Jackson ran the 60 meters at the World Indoors in 2022. What if there was a 200 there? What could Sharika Jackson do there, right? What about Dean Asher Smith, who's running right now in the 60? What could she do in the 200? Brittany Brown, she's run indoors, but like she doesn't run the 60 meters at indoors and she doesn't run the 400. What I'm saying, like that'd be a perfect opportunity. I think that'd be really, really exciting if they were able to bring the 200 back. But obviously, the idea of the lanes are too tight, lanes 1, 2, 3, etc. Like you have no opportunity to actually challenge for a win. Of course not. Of course not. But that doesn't matter. What did World Athletics just do? Literally, what did they just do this year in 2026? They just changed the rules for the 400. They literally just changed the rules for the 400. Now, in the 400, you're going to reduce each heat to 4 athletes using lanes 3 to 6 only, leaving lanes 1 and 2 empty due to their disadvantage on tight indoor curves, right? The aim is to ensure fair racing conditions and enhance the athlete and spectator experience. Why can't we do this for the 200? Yes, I understand lane 5 and 6 are still going to have an advantage, but this would at least provide an opportunity of like, maybe if you're an athlete who gets drawn in a bad lane, but you're still extremely talented, you might still have a chance, right? And it would still provide that excitement. I think if they were to incorporate, and I think, Aaron Brown said it earlier, right? Use lanes 4, 5, and 6. Just use lanes 4, 5, and 6, right? Like use lanes 4, 5, and 6, or use 3. I'm okay with being 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm okay with that, right? But I think there is an opportunity now, and I haven't dug deep into this. And I haven't found the specific reason as to why they just cut the entire thing as opposed to from the World Indoor Championships, as opposed to like split the heats. Because back in 2004, back during that time, for as long as I can remember, I don't know, the NCAA was using 2 heats. Like they were using 2 heats to run the 200s and the 400s. So it's not like this was a new kind of like thought process. I understand for aspects of like TV and viewership, it's like you want to have one heat. Even sometimes we are critical. When I say we, I mean like fans. Like I've been critical sometimes of like, oh man, like, the other heat, they ran faster and then the next heat didn't. Just off the top of my head, I'm looking at 2018 NCAA indoors women's 400. You had Kendall Ellis. She breaks the American record running 50.3. And then in the second heat, Sydney McLaughlin-Roney, a freshman still at Kentucky, she runs 50.3, but is 100th of a second off or 200th of a second off. She breaks like the world U20 record, but it's like kind of dramatic because you don't get to see them run head to head. Obviously, yes, there is like some disadvantages, but like if we're going to go this route of adding, 2 heats, listen, we could bring back the 200, right? We could bring back the 200. The only other thing that I'll say is the 200 indoors, not at World Indoors, because that's already split pretty evenly, but indoors in general, it would balance out like indoor meet schedules where you'll have more. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of through it, but it's essentially like indoor meets tend to have more distance races compared to sprint races, right? So just to bring up, let me just see. This is like more of a very, I want to say this is a very, very extreme example. But as an example, let me put this on the screen here. Okay, so at the Milrose Games this past weekend, 2 weeks ago, time is moving. So this was basically, for all intents and purposes, it was a professional distance meet because we had, in terms of like different events, we had 2 sprint, quote unquote, 2 sprint events, right? We had the hurdles. I'll include the hurdles in the sprints. And then you had the open 60. But then when you look at the different distance events, you had the 3,000 for the women, you had the 600. And yes, I know that the 600 is like long sprint distance, but like when you look at the athletes who compete in a 600, and I'll look at the men's 600 in a second, it's like these are all 800 runners for the most part, right? They're 800 runners. They 800 runners are more likely to drop down to the 600 than a 400 meter runner is to go up to a 600. So it's more on the like distance favorite side. And like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like, distance events, but just at the end of the day, you have the 3,000, you had the 600, you had the 2 mile, right? You had the, you had the 1,000, you had the 800, you had the mile. So that's 6 different, that's 6 different. And I could be missing something, but regardless, that's 6 different events. that are distance focused. And I don't know if I even mentioned the 2 mile, right? So versus 2 events that are sprint focused. So there could be a balance out there. New Balance Indoor Grand Prix was also very similar, whereas like there was maybe 1 or 2 other races that were distance focused versus sprint focused. And I think there should be an opportunity for the balance. Now, this obviously every meet can do whatever they want, but it's just like I think the opportunity to have different races where, yes, we saw the 300 at New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, but then it seems like races like a 2 mile or, something like that are a little more well represented in a sense, or like, or more, I feel like more respected to a degree, right? Where if Jakob Ingebrigtsen, obviously this is outdoors in like what, not last year, but 2024. If he's going for like a 2,000 meter, world record or whatever, it's like those things for whatever reason seem to be a little more respected in the public consciousness of track and field versus some of these off distances like a 300 or like a 500 or a 150, which, these things are very infrequently run. But 1,000, you see Faith Kipyegon, at least back in 2020, she was like chasing the 1,000 meter world record. We just saw, the one of the guys this past weekend run the 1,000. He ran to number 2 all time. He was trying to chase the record. But like, I feel like the sprints in that aspect indoors maybe suffer slightly, right? And this is not no woes me in any capacity, but it's just the idea that like, hey, you can add the 200 back into the fold. And I think some athletes they're yearning for it. They're yearning for it. So I don't know. We'll see. But I may do an actual like full video on it. But hey, listen, the 200s, they're looking good. Shout out to Garrett. Garrett, man, 20.12. Adeja Hodge too with her 20.5. Listen, man. Listen, I like it. All right. I'm gonna close out with just going through some comments that I probably missed throughout, but that was my last thing that I spoke about. But I'm gonna just highlight some of these comments. Oh, okay. Shout out to you in regards to sub 20. Yeah. Listen, if someone could break go sub 20 indoors, I would love to see it. I just don't want to like jump on and be like, all right, they ran this fast, so that means they're definitely going to go sub 20. Like sub 20 is hard. It's hard, but I would love to see it. Okay, yeah. Aaron, I agree, right? No one is running 19 indoors, but Garrett, I like him for 19.7 outdoors. He's just always hurt. Him healthy is unbeatable. Yeah, like I think the fact that he ran 19.8 last year with plus 1.1 win, like he clearly is capable of 19.7, and he's ahead of pace right now considering what he's done indoors. So yeah, definitely, I agree. Yeah, 19.8. Like, come on. Fake. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. When will Divine return back to track? If he is? I don't know how long his ban is, but I think it was a 6-year ban. But like he's also much older, so we're not going to see him back. Wait, Aaron. Sorry, I'm like getting to these comments late, but Aaron, you said Coleman ran 19.8 indoor 2024 and got 4th at Olympic trials. Cross check me. Sorry, I don't know what you meant. Okay. Yeah, we'd love to see Coleman run more 200s. Absolutely. Oh Lord. Okay. I'm not. Shout out to ya. New 200 meter indoor PB for Lyles this Saturday. Noah 20.33. Yeah, I mean that maybe seems realistic. Let me just I completely forgot what his let's see. Oh man, Noah is, I'm just gonna pull this up. I don't know what has Noah run indoors. I can't even pull this up. Let me see. What has Noah, Lyles, and someone in the chat is probably like already cross-checking me, but Noah, he's run what, 20 point, let's see. 20, oh, whoa. Okay. He has not run fast indoors, 20.63. So he's well overdue for an indoor 200 meter personal best. Well overdue. I think, oh yeah, the New Balance in 2021 was slow, 20.80. Yeah, so we'll see. 20.63. He'll get a, if Noah doesn't get a personal best indoors in the 200 this Saturday, I don't know what that means, but clearly he's in personal best form. He probably ran faster than that in his 300 last weekend in Boston or 2 weeks ago. Okay. Okay. Sorry, all in the game. Okay, so you're referring to medals. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking about just the time, but yeah, you're right. Frankie and Wallace are the only guys who have actually won medals. Yeah, 100%. So that time, like running a fast indoor 200, like running in the 20.1, doesn't mean you're going to get a medal. Like absolutely not. Nah, I 100% agree with that. I guess what I was thinking about was the time. So like, are you able to run like 19.8 outdoors? So it's been or faster, I guess. Yeah, but yeah. But no, definitely 100%. Um, nah. Based on what he did in the 300, I think Noah is gonna run faster than that. Like, yeah. I ain't predicting no 19.9 or even 20.0. Like, I don't know about all that. I mean, he is running at Arkansas. Arkansas is a good track, but is what it is. Is what it is. Um, yeah, I think this is like realistic. 20.3 or better, I think is realistic for Noah because now he's like heating up. He's getting into his season. So he ran, his first 300 in Florida. Then he ran that big race against Dream and Vernon, and Trayvon. And now it's like, all right, he's heating up. So we'll see, we'll see. Yep. Shout out to this women's 200. It's gonna be good. NCAA 200 is gonna be good. Yeah, Spain's 4x1 at the World Relays. They were cooking. Spain and Great Britain, they were cooking because everyone's eyes are on like Jamaica and USA, but like they were cooking World Relays that year, right? Um, yeah. Oh, okay. She ran second leg. So, and the reason, yeah, thanks for that cross check. And one big thing about Jael is that she ran 20.1 seconds outdoors last year. Like she's a high quality sprinter. Like she ran 20.1. That's not too far off Amy Hunt's personal best in the 200, which is like almost 20 flat. I'm sorry. 22.1. Let me make sure the time is correct. 22.1, right? Amy Hunt has run like 22.0. You know what I'm saying? So Jael is someone who we should keep an eye out for. Really keep an eye out for. Okay, this is real. So realistically, Noah is going 20.20. Kaylin went 32.1 and then into his 20.12. Noah went 32.14 and they have similar patterns. Yeah, that could be. I mean, it's very hard to pan out though because of these two athletes. Garrett and Noah are at different points in their years, right? And they're attacking things differently. Garrett is targeting SECs and NCAAs. Noah is targeting something very different when it comes to a long season. Again, he's not even going to World Indoor Championships, right? He's targeting like whatever outdoor. So, but that's essentially though. I generally agree. I think a 20.2, anywhere from like 20.3 to 20.2 is probably what I predict. But I would not be surprised if he did drop into 20.1. But we'll see, Yes. Okay. And Aaron, this is actually exactly what I was thinking. It's like from the 60 meters to the 400 is way too big of a gap. I feel athletes are more comfortable going from like the 800 to the 15 or the 15 or 15 to 3K. Like those gaps, I don't think are as wide as 60 to 400. That's why I think. And then again, when it comes to like these individual meets on the circuit, you get these, 1000s, these miles, these 2 miles, right? Yes, we get these 300s. We like, I speak mostly about the sprints, but I want to be like, we not like, the sprinters, they get these 300s and stuff. But then again, it's like, if you're a 60-meter runner, are you going up to a 300, right? It's just like, it's so much bigger of a gap and it's tougher to be able to do that. But yeah. Yeah, and good call. Ogando, he did run 20.2. So yeah, so maybe Noah will be in that range. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, basically you can't win if you're lane 1 or 2. Need lanes 4, 5, and 6. 100% agree. 100% agree. I'm okay with 3 as well. Obviously, even though 3 is still like you're not gonna win, but you're probably not gonna win. But Okay, good call out here. So you're noting some of the fast college guys indoors. So do what outdoors. They're just fast college guys that for the most part have run some decent outdoor times. If pros focus on indoors, then they would be way further down the list. Of course, I 100% agree. If we saw Noah Lyles, Kenny B, Latsila Taboho, Brian Lavelle, if they ran 200s indoors consistently, I think at that point, over the, let's say they were running 200s consistently from like 2021 all the way up to now, we would see a couple, I don't know, I want to be hesitant, but I want to be careful, but we would see, I think, at least one or two more athletes who have broken 20 seconds, who would have broken 20 seconds indoors. I think so. I think Kenny B, because when he was at a junior college, I think he probably could have gotten to sub 20 indoors. But the point is, like, yes, some of these pros that we see now, if they were running indoor 200s, they probably would have been way faster than a lot of the NCAA athletes that we've seen in the 20 low range over the past, decade at this point. So I agree. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I agree. It would make sense to add the 200 to World Indoors, but it would require World Athletics to really make indoors bigger than what it's currently right now. Not just competitively, but also monetarily. Yeah, it's a good point, right? Yeah. Yeah. But it's like a, I don't know, it feeds into itself, right? So if you provide the 200 indoors, then athletes like Noah and Latsile, who are relatively big names, they would probably compete indoors. And then that would bring in more fans, more eyes, more attention, more all that stuff, right? So it's like you need to present that opportunity. Now, Noah has already he runs the 60 meters, he's done it indoors, et cetera, et cetera. But like, what if he had the 200 indoors to compete in, right? That's so it makes sense. It makes sense. So I hear that. Yes, tune in every Tuesday for the most part. Every Tuesday. Sometimes it may change, especially as like the season gets going. And I do stuff outside of just like track stuff. So depending on like my schedule, in the middle of the weeks and stuff. But appreciate you. Um, yeah, that's true. That's true. The all-time 400 college list to the 200 list and the difference in accomplishments and medals and times are huge. Yeah, it's true, right? Because indoors in the 400, I'm just off the top of my head, right? You have obviously Christopher Miles Williams. He's relatively new, but it is what it is. You have Michael Norman. You have Karan Clement, Jonathan Sims. He obviously just did that time, right? You have Michael Johnson in there. You have I'm just trying to think of some guys. You have Chris Bailey. At least he has world indoor medals. You have I don't even know. I'm just but yes, you're 100% right though. It's true. A lot more guys have who are on the 400 list. They're able to really replicate and get some medals. I wonder though if that's like also to to the point of like what I was saying, where if the 200 was at World Indoors, would that allow for, and also LaShawn Merritt in the 400, but would that allow for more of the top guys to run indoor 200s, which would then like mean some of the guys who are actual true medal contenders would be running the indoor 200, maybe, right? Because even though, to be fair, this is in the NCAA. So like Michael Norman, Karan Clement, LaShawn Merritt, like et cetera, et cetera. Chris Bailey just did it this past year, but like regardless, like these guys, most of them were NCAA athletes. So I don't know. I'm just thinking through in my head, but it's yeah, the 200 guys in the NCAA, most of them haven't been able to get medals outdoors, and it's way, way more competitive. Sorry, I'm behind on the comments, so cross-check me on what this means. Sorry. Look terrible. Took the 400 meter silver medalist who ran. Oh, sorry. You're in talking about Noah Lyles. Took the 400 meter silver medalist Jerome Richards, who ran 19.8, 43.7 last year, to beat him in the line because he switched off. I mean, yes, if you're watching, make sure to like the video, this live stream. We're about to close out in like a couple minutes as I finish these last comments. All right. Let me just see. Yep, agree. I think they should bring out the 200 meters indoors. Okay, good. Yeah. So this is it. Again, I was doing this off the top of my head. Yeah, Cronny James, Dream Richards. Well, Dream Richards is right. He ran 45 flat. Yep. So yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. Okay. All right. Get into some of these last comments. Yeah, I think okay, so this is where just to highlight this again, like the 200, the NCAA athletes who have run fast indoors in the 200, they have also run fast outdoors in the 200, but they haven't had as much success getting onto podiums in the 200 outdoors or in any events outdoors, right? Whereas more, on average, more of the 400 guys indoors who have run fast, they have also run fast outdoors in the 400, and they have had more success getting onto the podiums outdoors at any event. So, as like you're saying here, so Kron Clement, his success came in a different event, just like Coleman's. But I think there's maybe an aspect of their indoor success being able to translate outdoors in any capacity. So if Jareem Richards, he's able to Jareem Richards, even before he won his 400 medal last year, he already had a 200-meter medal in from 2017, right? So you kind of combine those two. Like you said, Christian Coleman, he ran fast in the 200 indoors, and but then he translated that into out. Well, I mean, he also ran fast in the 60 and all that stuff, but like he also translated that into outdoor success in terms of medals in the 100, right? Fred, I'm just off the top of my head. Fred Curley, right? He NCAA indoors ran 44 seconds indoors. He was able to get a medal outdoors in the 400 in 2019, but he also, got medals in the 100 and all that in subsequent years. Kron Clement, yes, his 400-meter performance indoors is in the 400, but then outdoors he was a hurdler and he was able to get a gold medal outdoors. I'm sorry, yeah, well, multiple gold medals outdoors at World Champs and then of course the Olympic Games. So on average, right, these guys are able to actually see success. Now let's be clear, there's some guys who weren't able to actually see some success, right? You're talking about shout out to Noah Williams. He's been dealing with various different injuries. There's man, off the top of my head, well, Nathaniel Zika, he's in the 400 hurdles. He did get fourth place at World Champs, so he's still on the rise. The guy who won NCAA's, I think I forget the specific year, but he competed for one of the HBCUs. I forget off the top of my head, but and not North Carolina A&T, right? I'm not talking about Randolph Ross. There's another guy. So I don't know. It's mixed. It's all mixed in there in some capacity, but yeah. No, Melissa Jefferson Wooden is not running indoors this year. Her whole group, they don't run indoors. Yeah, I can understand. Oh yeah, Mitchell's group, they don't do indoors. Yeah, I can understand if athletes don't want to run the 200 meters indoors. I think it would just be cool if they did add it to World Indoors. So okay, just give Alfred the 60-meter gold from now and then. Listen, you got to run the race. Obviously, I think every single one of us would pick her for the gold medal, and we'll pick her once she announces that if she's going to compete at World Indoors. But listen, oh, I ain't mad at this. All off distances. Give us a 60, 300, 600, 1,000. They already do the 3,000, but like maybe the 2 mile. I'm with that. That'd be pretty interesting, right? That way we don't have two 400s reigning world champions. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Has anyone done that? Has anyone done the World Indoor 400 and World Outdoor 400? I don't know if any athlete has successfully done that. I'm just gonna cross check, and we're coming up on the last couple comments here. I'll cross check with y'all so I don't look like I'm talking into the abyss. But has anyone done a World Indoor 400? And I could know, but oh yes, okay. So Antonio McKay, he won World Indoors. He of course won the Olympic Games in 1984. Butch Reynolds never won gold outdoors. Okay, on the men's side, it's only Antonio McKay. So Antonio McKay, he's a 1984 Olympic champion. Oh no, wait, why did I get that wrong? Who won? Oh, Alonzo Babers. Antonio McKay got bronze. My bad, not gold. I gotta cross check. Okay, so then that's crazy. On the men's side, there is no world indoor champion who won world outdoors in the 400. That's actually kind of crazy. That's wild. I didn't even realize that. On the women's side, I know Shauna Miller-Weibo, she did, so that's a good call. Oh, Jermos Clark, she's a 1993 world champion. Yes, 1993. See, listen, got to cross check my memory. I be doing these things off memory, and it's like I'd be testing myself sometimes. So yes, Jermos Clark. So she won World Indoors in 1997, and she won World Outdoors in 1993. So that's one. Sandy Richards, never. Natalia, no. Okay, Sonia Richards-Ross. There we go. Sonia Richards-Ross, of course, world champion in 2009. 2012, she won World Indoors and World Olympic gold. So she's in that mix there. And then Shauna Miller-Weibo. There we go. So on the women's side, you got three: Shauna Miller-Weibo, Sonia Richards-Ross, and then you also have Jermos Clark. So that's actually pretty cool. That there's three women who have actually been able to do it. Yeah. So shout out to them. But not on the men's side. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe one day. Yeah, off events. All right, we about to close out here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Cool. Appreciate y'all. So we're good. Appreciate y'all. We'll probably be back next week. I have a couple videos coming out, but we gonna tune in. But I'm on that final like extra channel. I'm gonna be doing just like some quick reaction stuff. In terms of like, oh, this race happened. All of that is gonna be moving over to final leg extra. Just on regular final leg, I'm gonna be doing these live streams, and then just the regular, and then like some more in-depth videos. Anything I like have to edit, I'm gonna put on final leg regular, and then anything I basically do zero editing goes on final leg extra. So but you all see the collab tag is there. So appreciate y'all. Have a good Tuesday and have a good week. See ya.